Hey everybody, before you get into this episode, I just want to give a little bit of a backstory on what happened. I'm sure you saw the timing of this episode and see it's significantly shorter than any other episode that you guys have watched thus far. And just want to give you guys a little bit of more context as to what happened and just tell you that I'm getting better. When I first did the episode, I was a little bit bummed when I found out what happened to the video, but that lasted maybe 10 to 15 minutes and I got super excited. I got excited because this is a process. This show is called Processing the Process, but even this show is a process and it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of growth, and I'm going to do a lot of learning within this. So just to let you know what happened, anyone that is interested in starting a show or a podcast or anything of that nature, and you've done some research, you find out that the number one rule in doing something like this is don't go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment right off the top. Take your time, use the equipment that you have. And that's what I do. That's what I've done. So all the episodes that you've seen thus far has been shot on my current phone, old phones. For the video, obviously I have an audio which I'm able to get a better quality of audio than the ones that's on the camera, on the phone. But when you use your current phone, what I've done was I put it on airplane mode. I disable the Wi-Fi, disable the data. That way I won't get any interruptions. So when I did this episode and set up, for whatever reason, I hit all of those buttons except for airplane mode. So halfway through the episode, I got a phone call and I didn't capture any more video. The exciting thing about the phone call was that day I was doing a lot of cold calling. I think I made like 40 or 50 calls that day. And the person that was calling me during that episode, or the episode that you're about to watch, was actually a prospect that I was calling. Super exciting because anybody that's out there that's ever cold called or received a cold call, you never called that person back. So to receive a phone call back is super exciting. However, I didn't capture half of the conversation that I had with Larry that you're about to see. But, I say all that to say that this is a part of my process. It is easy for me not to put out an episode, but I made a commitment to you guys. I made a commitment 100% to myself that I wanted to have an episode every week, every Friday at noon, but I don't have a full episode to show you. And instead of not putting out anything or just waiting till next week, maybe putting out 2 episodes, I want to stay true to my commitment because this is a process. And one of the things, if you watch prior episodes, that you hear from all these entrepreneurs and leaders in their industry is consistency. And I want to stay consistent. So in doing so, I have to put out what I have. It's not a finished product. It's a product that I'm still proud of, but a little disappointed, but still happy at the same time that this was an opportunity for me to learn, to get better, and improve. So the episode is shorter. However, you can still hear it on my podcast on pretty much all of the platforms that you listen to podcasts on, minus Apple. I'm still waiting to get approved, but it's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts. If you go to the show notes, if you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram, go to the show notes. You can see the different podcast platforms which you can listen. So please click those to hear the entire interview. I have the audio, obviously. I just don't have the video. But I do appreciate you watching. Again, this is all a process to me. I'm getting better. I want to stay true to my commitment. I wanted to produce something rather than nothing. So I'm super excited about that. But the guest that I have on, Larry, is probably going to be our first reoccurring guest because we're going to do it again. But I wanted to stay true to what I said I was going to do, and that's put out an episode every week. And even if it's only a 12 or 13-minute episode. So please tell me what you think. If no one sees this, I'm even more excited because possibly nobody should watch it because it was a poor episode. I think the content and the conversation that we had is a great episode to watch. However, I can understand if it doesn't do some of the numbers as some of the other episodes, which I'm excited about because everything is a learning lesson. I'm not going to always put out the highlight reels. So this is me, taking off the mask, showing you behind the covers, if you will, on what actually happens. And this happened. So I'm excited to show you that and get better. So hopefully when I look back at episode 120, I can say, you remember what happened on episode 5. The equipment's going to get better. Audio is going to get better. Everything will get better eventually. But this is where I am now, so I'm super excited. So again, thank you for taking the time to at least watch this part. Please let me know what you think of the episode. Again, if you want to listen to the entire, it's on podcast form, so take a look. But super excited. Again, thank you for watching, and and let me know what you think. Welcome everyone to episode 5 of Processing the Process. I hope here you will be able to hear some real inspirational stories, some life lessons, and of course some quotes that you can take with you to help you get through your day. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I have another guest here that has, in my opinion, an amazing story. Hopefully we can get into it and you pick a little bit of gems and nuggets. But please, if you're watching this and something really resonates with you, please leave a comment, look at the timestamp, let me know at which point of this conversation that you really inspired you to think a certain way or do something different. I would love to expound upon that and give you more content that you guys deserve and what you're looking for. So without any further ado, please, Larry, introduce yourself. Your name, what is it that you do?
Hi, my name is Larry Weiser, and I started an insurance agency back in 1988.
1988. So here we are in 2019. A lot has changed. One thing that I would be most curious about, just so the audience kind of understands who you are and what you've been through, and please don't be shy about this, what success have you had in this industry from the first time that you got into it in 1988 up until today?
Success. Well, it depends. First of all, I got into this business by accident, and I found by sitting down and visiting with people and educating them on their home or their auto insurance and even possibly saving them money, I ended up having a passion for it. And once I got my passion, I went crazy and touched a lot of people, met a lot of really neat people that are clients, and it allowed me to build a business and spend time with my family. Because when I started the business, I would go home at night, help bathe the kids, do dinner, then I go back up to work. My wife would join me. We'd have a sitter come and we'd do our filing at night so I could sell during the day. So it allowed me to have a good lifestyle at home with the family and also build a business that I really cared about what I did.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So here on the show, Processing the Process, we kind of like to get a little bit more context and a backstory. So with that being said, can you tell us what type of kid you were? Were you the only sibling? Did you have a brother, sister? Grew up in Houston? You have a little backstory about Larry?
Born and raised in Houston.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 3, the favorite, the most responsible of them all. Of course, my younger brother, the middle one, had all the brains and the good looks in the family. He was the banker and the CPA and the MBA, and I just peddled insurance. But it's worked for me.
Wow. So growing up, being the oldest of 3, did you always have an entrepreneurial spirit about you as far as wanting to own your own and do your own thing? Or was that something that you said kind of just stumbled and just happened?
It wasn't a dream of mine, it just happened. I went to work for a family business when I got out of college, and we sold to a public company. And I went to work with my uncle in another family business. And one of my roommates from college was in the insurance business, family business, and he tried to get me in it. And I said, that sounds so boring. Just leave me alone and take care of my insurance.
Yeah.
And for years, I'd call him back and he was hunting or fishing or something I didn't understand. So I tried it. And again, in part-time in the evening, and I'd go to people's homes and we would review their stuff. And they didn't know what their deductibles were. They didn't know what their limits were. And by the time I left, they appreciated it so much, and it brought value to them that I got a passion for it and just started loading the wagon, so to speak.
Wow, so you were just going from home to home doing the personal lines, home and auto. That was the only thing that you did.
When we started, my wife and I, here's the funny part about it, is I had to go home and tell my pregnant wife that was watching our 2-year-old that I was going to leave my company job with all the benefits to go into the insurance business on commission only. So I figured if I could sell that, I could sell anything, right?
True.
So we would take turns in the evening. If I bathed the kids, she would start cold calling. Back then you could cold call a little bit easier, so we'd call people to find out when their insurance came up for a renewal so we could set appointments. So I would set appointments in the neighborhood so I could get there and get to multiple ones quickly in the same area. So we started building a business on personal lines, home, auto, life kind of stuff. And then if they owned a business, I would ask them about their business. I got into the business side. Mm-hmm. And as I built a very large business on personal lines, I shifted gears to more challenging stuff of commercial, where we wrote restaurants and distributorships and contractors and built it on businesses where I meet some really neat people that do unusual things.
True. Very unusual things.
Unusual.
What's interesting so far on what you said is like the very beginning, like hearing that, you had your wife cold calling. Obviously, you called in an area that you could get to very quickly and get back from. How was that jumping off of the ledge, so to speak? Like you said, going into a career where it was commission only and no salary. Because typically in 2019, if you are going to a new carrier or working at an insurance agency, there is a salary plus a commission. But to hear back in 1988, there was no salary. It was just you, and said, hey, every dial counts, every minute counts. Like, what was that mind frame back then? Was that very, very, very difficult for you and your wife at the time to make that decision, or was it just...
Very bonding, very focused. It made me better because my focus was only on success and making people happy. They referred me to other people and make them happy. So I got the mindset, the sooner I wrote a policy, the sooner I'd write supporting business, the sooner I get a referral, the sooner it would renew. And in the insurance business, there's a very unique thing called renewals. And renewals means you get paid every year as long as you make them happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of funny because I would go fishing with doctors or dentists or whatever, and they would be casting, yelling, I'm not at the office today, so I'm not making any money, and you are. I go, I don't know. I just sell insurance.
Yeah, I just peddle insurance, right?
That's all I do.
Wow. So I'm in insurance. Obviously, we were here at the agency, and I know your story, obviously, but I think it's an incredible story because a lot of people can't do what it is that you did. A lot of people can't do sometimes what I do. Although I feel like the industry has become a lot easier in many ways, i.e. we have cell phones now. So, for going from house to house or account to account, just driving easily, having Waze or some kind of Google Maps on my phone to get there, I can imagine was a lot more difficult back when you originally started to where we are today. Can you talk a little bit more about how that process was from just getting an appointment, trying to find the appointment? Did you find it a lot easier in the early days than it is today, or is it harder from your perspective?
I didn't know any better then. And back then you'd say, okay, give me directions to your house, or give me directions, and you just write it down. I mean, There was no Waze or Google Maps, so it wasn't more challenging. It's all I knew. It's just what we did.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Was it difficult cold calling for you? Like, obviously you were calling home and auto and calling people at their homes, and a lot of times people in the industry, cold calling is a necessary evil. Some people like doing it, some people don't. In my opinion, again, it's a necessary evil. It's something that you have to do, especially if you're new in the industry. But what was your thought process just around that process in itself, cold calling? Was it something that you were good at, or?
At the beginning, marketing was cold calling.
Mm-hmm.
As you grow, it's more referrals and more networking. So it's way different today. But back then, it was easier to cold call because you didn't have the do not disturb list and all that kind of stuff. And I knew the road to success was dialing. So I was able to hear no and either not accept it or not bother me. And I knew the more calls I made, the more appointments I'd get. And the only thing I needed was an appointment.
All you needed was an appointment. Just get in the door.
Because not a lot of people work that hard. So once you get an appointment, when was the last time you saw your insurance agent? Well, I never met him. I did it over the phone or whatever. And people like the value of getting to know somebody and doing business with someone they know. That they call it my insurance agent, my lawyer, my doctor.
Was your process or your approach in the way that you were able to get clients was more on a personal level and actually delivering a service in an industry where maybe service wasn't the number one?
Yeah, that was part of it. The other part is doing business with people you know. Like my wife wanted to grow the business, so when she went to the dry cleaners or she went to the bakery, wherever she went, she would give her card or get a card. So I wrote business from people we did business with. And likewise today, I love to eat, so I go to restaurants that we insure, and they appreciate us coming there, setting up parties there. So we were getting referrals, or we were just doing business with people we knew.
So it's safe to say that no matter what you did from, I'm assuming the kids maybe played Little League at some point or going to a restaurant or a grocery store, you were always building your network, letting individuals know what it is that you do.
I feel as an entrepreneur, your mind doesn't ever shut off. If someone says, we're pregnant, I'm getting ready to have a baby, and my head is, when was the last time you reviewed your life insurance? Or they say, we're getting ready to buy a new house, my mind's going on, when's the closing? So whatever I did, my mind's spinning on what can I do business-wise. It doesn't turn off at 5 o'clock.
Correct.
So yeah, my insurance agency sponsored all the little league teams, all the soccer teams. I coached them all. They feel that when you're in the insurance business, you don't have a job, so you can come chalk the fields and coach it. So I managed both kids' little league teams at the same time.
Okay.
Our name was on the back of their shirts. I didn't solicit business from the other parents, but because I was giving the time, some of them came to me and wanted my help. And they supported me because I was taking care of their kids on the field and giving up my time.
Gotcha, understood. So you weren't, and from what I'm hearing, you weren't pushing insurance, you weren't peddling insurance.
No,
you were
when
just
you
offering
think of
the
a life
service.
insurance guy with all the pins in the top pocket and saying, when you speak about insurance, I didn't do that. It's just trying to build relationships and add value.
Add value. That's the key. Adding value to something that they may not find valuable at the time, or
If I asked you what your insurance is about, chances are most people have no idea. And I'm not being mean. So you can add a lot of value because it's what protects all your assets.
correct.
Some people don't realize that if they lose a diamond ring, it's not even covered unless it's scheduled. So I know we're talking about insurance, and a lot of people don't like to talk about insurance. And I told my friend I didn't want to get into the business for years. And most people that get into this business is by accident. But I've learned in this industry, and maybe in all industries, people work to their level of saturation. Some people are happy making $2,000 a week. Some people are happy making $5,000 a week. They work to their level of saturation. My wife says we're not saturated yet, so I'm still working.
It's still working.
But I don't feel like I'm working. I don't feel like I have a job. I love what I do because I meet so many people, and I'm a problem solver for what they have.
Interesting.
So when there's a hurricane at night, I'm up at night making sure my checklist of everybody I talk to if I've offered everything they need.